Hey guys, what is up? So today I'm going to be doing a story time. I never really wanted to make this video. In fact, I have been waiting, not wanting to make this video, but honestly, I've tried to reach out to this person multiple times and I feel so used and somewhat manipulated in this situation that I just need to talk, vent it out, get it out there, and just forget about it, because I've tried to talk to this person and yeah, you'll see. So yeah, today's going to be a story time about a good friend of mine who I would definitely say used me and then just left. I don't know, just like ghosted me. I will be changing the name of this friend, although they have not been on my channel. I do just want to change the name for purposes of changing the name. We're gonna call her Casey. Yeah, so if you see me looking over here, it's because I have a 14-page Microsoft Word document written out of things that I want to touch on, mainly for the purpose of saying everything I want to say, getting it out there. So I have my wine because very necessary right now. So yeah, without further ado, let's just get into it. So I had met this person when I was in nursing school. For those of you that don't know, I was in nursing school prior to switching to pre-med. I met her and she was in one of my clinical groups, and we just sort of stuck together in our clinicals and became better friends that way. We eventually ended up being in like a little group together in nursing school, and slowly our friendship began to build, and you know, we started hanging out and whatnot. Whenever I met her in nursing school, she sort of had, I don't want to say like negative stigma, but a lot of people thought she was negative, didn't really want to be around her vibe or whatever, but I didn't really care. In nursing school, there's a couple people like that, but I feel like I always just sort of like hung out with who I wanted to hang out with and didn't really care what anyone else thought. So yeah, I just wanted to be her friend, didn't really care what others said, and yeah. I also quickly want to say that I'm in no way trying to bash this person. It's actually like really weird making a video about this, but like I said, I need to vent. This person has been there for me through a couple things, well, a lot of things, and has been good, as we'll get to within the story. So yeah, whenever I first met this person, she was in a long-term relationship, I want to say like 5 or 6 years. And also, I was in a long-term relationship of around 5 years. So that was something we sort of had in common. But she was always the sort of friend that when she was dating someone, or obviously in this circumstance, she had a boyfriend, she would never come out, would always leave early, would get yelled at on the phone, wouldn't drink with us. Over the summer, she would go home, which was about an hour away from where the rest of us lived, and by the rest of us, I mean our friend group, and we literally would not see her all summer. And mind you, I lived like an hour away from all my friends too, and I made sure to see them, you know, stay in the loop, you know, maintain friendships. So around that time during the summer, my ex and I broke up, and honestly, because she was home, she wasn't really there for me, which was okay because at the time I had a different friend who had recently broken up with their boyfriend who really helped me through that time. But she wasn't really there for me. So a couple months down the line, her and her ex ended up breaking up. And at that point, I would say that I was definitely one of the only people there for her. We had very similar situations. The boyfriends were abusive. Mentally, mine was probably more so. It was a long-term relationship that started in high school, so I was there for her for lots of guidance, especially when it came to dating again. I would try to tell her, you know, you need to rebuild your self-confidence, you need to love yourself, you need to find yourself before you start talking to other guys. Personally, for me, I waited a very long time before I decided to do anything with any men, and that was just me personally. So I knew some good general advice in order to move on from this sort of situation. So during that time, we became a lot closer, like I said, because of the situations. And you know, even with that being said, it was always just sort of like about her in like every situation. We would have conversations, and no matter what I said, the conversation would always revert back to her. Even like more so down the line, she would call and tell me about all the stuff that was going on in her life, never once ask me about what happened in my life, just sort of seemed not to care at all. So eventually, over time, I sort of became like her, like I feel like she saw me in a light as like a boyfriend. Like she always wanted me to be there, always wanted me to be at her place, would try to cuddle me, tried to kiss me, you know, literally wanted me around all the time. I would always pay for things, which is something that was so annoying. I would buy Postmates and I would buy her a meal, or I would, you know, things like Starbucks or Panera. I would order it and she would never pay me back. She never once paid for a meal of mine. I would always buy drinks. I remember one time we went out to a bar and she ordered 2 drinks and then made me pay for it. And that at that point I was like, wow, you're really just expecting me to pay for you. I've always been the kind of person that if I feel like you're struggling financially, or like I feel bad, or you're having a bad day, I'll buy you a drink. But it's sort of like the thing that it's supposed to be reciprocated, and it never was. You know, like when you go out with friends and like one person gets the first round, the next person gets the second round, things like that, but that was never the case with her. I actually had started talking to a new guy around this time, well, about 1.5 years ago, and we went to a bar crawl together, and she literally would not buy a drink of her own. And it got to the point to where, you know, when people just like sit there and it's like super awkward because they're not ordering drinks, and then you feel like pressured or like manipulated into ordering them drinks. Yeah, that happened. Enough to the point that the guy that I was with decided, or the guy that I was with actually said something later like, hey, I can't be buying your friend drinks all the time, which was sort of embarrassing for me. But that was constantly. It wasn't just like a one night thing, you know, like you give her an inch, she wants a mile, like constantly. And also that same day, this really bothered me. And the reason I'm telling you like little bits and details is just to sort of like learn about this person, and also so I can vent. So I have just completely gone off my notes. Oh well, I need a drink. So at that same bar crawl, we were walking down the street, and it was her, like on the sidewalk. It was her, me, and then the guy I was with. And then down the way, there was a homeless guy over here. And she was like, oh my gosh, you know, got really scared about this homeless guy. And me and the guy were holding hands, not the homeless guy, the guy I was with. Mind you, she's all the way over here. Homeless dude is over here. She literally walks around to the guy I'm with and tries to hold his hand too. And I was like, what are you doing, boo-boo? I don't think so. Just something little that bothered me. So yeah, I would always pay for the Ubers. You know how you can split an Uber like on the app? Yeah, we never did that. And honestly, it is partly my fault because I let her use me. Not that I really let her, but I hate confrontation. I hate confrontation. So I just like never said anything, and I sort of feel like she knew that I wouldn't say anything, which is even more messed up. So we would also go to Dave & Buster's. If you haven't heard of this, in some places on like Wednesdays or Thursdays, there's like, what is it, half price drinks and appetizers or something like that. And she would always say that she didn't have money. So I would literally pay for her to come and have fun with us friends, and whether or not she would drink, I would literally pay for her games, I would pay for her meal, like I just wanted her to have fun with us because I thought that she wouldn't be able to. Even gave so much as to pay for a trip to Myrtle Beach when our flight was delayed when we were going to Ireland. I paid for it all. It was like $250. Yeah, and I drove. So anyways, moving on. So obviously she became single, and obviously I was single at the same time. And this is where I have to say that she did offer me a place to stay all the time. Like she literally wanted me to be there. Like, you know how some girls like always want to be around her, you know how some girls like always want to be around their boyfriend? Like, that's sort of just how it felt. Like, she always just wanted to be around me, which is cool because, like, I don't know, like, I didn't live around the school, so she gave me a place to stay, which was super, super awesome. Yeah, so I have to give her that. So let me just tell you about this time that she blacked out. This is how good of a friend I was. We went out one night, and we were at this bar, and she ended up getting very drunk, and the ambulance ended up coming and taking her, and I would not leave her side. I went with the ambulance, I sat in the passenger seat, and I stayed up all night in the hospital on a stool watching her, making sure she was okay. I was a very good friend to her. I literally stayed up all night on a stool in the hospital, making sure she was okay. And I didn't leave her. I could have gone home. I could have Ubered home. Speaking of Ubering home, I paid for the Uber back to her apartment the next day. It's just like all encompassing to me. Like, I don't like to be used, and like and just for someone to not understand what they're doing is just so frustrating to me. Just like other little things, like I would do her makeup before we would go out, and then I would leave my makeup in a little bag at her place because I was there so often. And one weekend she went home and she brought my makeup bag with her. I don't know about you, but I feel like that's sort of crossing the line, but I sort of just let that one slip. So yeah, so after that summer, after that summer, she had one more semester left of nursing school, and she was no longer going to be leasing her apartment with her roommate. They sort of had like a falling out because I don't want to say it was directly linked to Casey hooking up with her roommate's like ex or whatever. There was a bunch of other things, but it just wasn't going to work out. So nope, I didn't invite her. She sort of asked me if she could stay at my place, and at that point I sort of felt like I had to. So if you've watched my videos before, you know that I have had literally the worst roommates experiences ever. That's a little dramatic, but I haven't had the greatest roommate experience of my life. So whenever I initially said yes, obviously I called my parents, and they were like, she needs to pay. Obviously, because you're staying in a 3-bedroom house, mind you, I let her use my furniture, so furnished, you had your own bathroom, your own bedroom, they wanted her to pay. And so she ended up asking me how much she needed to pay a month because she needed to take out a loan to stay with me. And so right off the bat, she told me that she was going to pay me. And we came up with a solution of half the utility bills. Let me tell you, half of the utility bills was around $250. $250 to stay in a house? I mean, it's a really good deal. But let me just tell you, I got nothing. No money, nothing, $0. But I do have to say that she did help me, obviously, because my dogs are there. She would like let my dogs out and whatnot. So that was super awesome. Not too sure that she actually ever really played or interacted with them or like gave them water or anything, because I would come home and there would literally be no water. So it wasn't like she was taking care of my dogs. She just sort of like let them out. if they needed to go out, which is awesome. Appreciate that. Thank you. That's literally no excuse not to pay what you said you were going to pay. And honestly, I don't know if her mother or her parents, I don't want to bring them into this, but I don't know if they were giving her money to pay me and she just wasn't paying me. I don't really know. I have no idea. But while she was living with me, there was lots of things that irritated me. I am sort of like the person, like, if I'm around, like, good vibes, I'm gonna feel good about myself, you know, like, I bounce off of people's energies. But every time I would go home, she would be so negative. It would be constant complaining. Like, I can't be around that. It gives me so much anxiety. I would literally call my mom and be like, I don't want to go home. Like, I don't want to be around this negative energy. Because after going through all the anxiety of just a regular school day, my drive back and forth was like an hour. Like, I just didn't need to come home to that, and it almost made me not want to come home. And also, after she ended up moving out of my place, she had the audacity to tell me that she was crying the first week back to my place because of the drive. And to be honest, yeah, I felt bad, but like, you knew what you were getting yourself into. I've been doing this for years, and like, it just shows that, like, I don't think she ever, like, listened to me when I was telling her about the drive, or like understood or sympathized or empathized or whatever, you know what I mean? Also, we have a mutual friend, and our mutual friend was in the same nursing program, and she would come home and literally complain to me about this person, to the point that I didn't think they were friends. Comes to find out that they actually were friends, and I didn't know. Sort of shocking because of the conversation she would have to me about this person. So I feel like that just sort of shows, like, hope. Like, I don't know if she talked bad about me or whatever, but who knows? So another thing is, I lived like an hour away from my boyfriend, and we sort of made it like a thing that one night a week, I would make dinner and he would come over and spend the night. And she became so intrusive on these nights. Like, would eat with us. Literally the only time she would come out of her room was to eat with us. And I get it if you don't have money, but like, those are my one nights that I get. You know, I would even be like, I would literally be out in my living room watching a movie, and she would just be like in her room doing, I don't even know what she was doing, but I would be like, you want to have a wine night? Like, come out, watch a movie. Like, literally would not do that. Also, I would be cleaning my house. I would be vacuuming. I would be, you know, dusting, whatever I was doing, and she would be on the sofa just on her phone, not even giving a crap about what I was doing, wouldn't help me. And I didn't ask for help, but I just thought it was very rude that when you are staying in someone's house that you said you would pay for, but you didn't end up paying, you think you would help out a little bit. I don't know. Also wouldn't do her dishes. That was annoying. So let's go towards when she moved out of my place. First off, she never told me she was moving out of my place. I ended up seeing her out with a couple friends, and she gave me her key back, and I was like, oh, you moved out? Had no idea. You would think that they would tell you. No. She left so much trash in my place. I guess she like attempted to put some trash in the trash can but missed, and all of her trash was on the floor in my garage. I know it was hers because it was Jules, and I don't jewel. I don't. And obviously it was hers. And she left six takeout boxes in my fridge. 6. And some other food and whatnot. I mean, I guess the food's okay, but 6 takeout boxes in my fridge, half of which I had paid for her. And a pizza box in my oven. Yeah, that was super annoying. I thought that was so incredibly rude, to not even like pick up after yourself. And also, this is really, really good. So, while she was living in my house, she was out of town, went home to like do something, I don't really know. And I had texted her because I needed to clean my carpets. I needed to use the little like shampooer. And I knew it was in. Hold on. Okay, sorry. was a shampooer in her closet, and she said no, but I knew this is a big shampooer, and I knew it was in there because there was literally nowhere else it could be in my house, and I wanted to be respectful and not go in the room even though it was my house. But I knew it was in there and I needed to clean it, so I went in. And I went in the closet, and the shampooer was in there, but there were bags of chips, crackers, food all over the floor of my closet. Are you freaking kidding me? I don't know how your family was, but I wasn't allowed to even bring food into my bedroom because it attracts bugs, it attracts mice, it attracts all different kinds of animals. So I saw it, I didn't say anything. Like I said, I let people just do things to me and just use me. Yeah. So then about 2 days later, she calls me in like the middle of the night and she's like, I hear a scratching sound in my room. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't know. Like maybe it's the palm trees on the door or whatever. Or on like the window of her room, because sometimes the palm trees like wave back and forth and make noise. And then about, I think it wasn't the next day, I think it was like 2 days later, I come home and there's a dead mouse on my floor of my house. And I can guarantee you that it came for the food in her closet that was on the floor, that was open. Oh my gosh. It just literally baffled me. Anywho, I'll calm down, I promise. So anyways, she ended up moving out, and because she needed to go back home when she graduated and live with her parents. My friend tells me that her mother actually gave her money to take me to dinner as a thank you, but instead she went and got her nails done rather than taking me to dinner as a thank you. And to me, that was literally the last straw. I was like, are you kidding me? Like that, and to tell our mutual friend that is really messed up. Like, you're bragging about taking advantage of me, and I don't mess with that. Also, really quickly, she would have boys over to my place, and like, the boys like wouldn't address like my boyfriend that was over or whatever, and I just thought that was like not cool. Also, she would invite guys over and sort of like try to copy what I did with my boyfriend, like have the whole thing, like have the Pandora playing, making food, and buying a movie on Vudu for my account for you to watch. Yeah, date sponsored by me, you're welcome. Anyways, yeah, all that happened, I let it go, and a couple months later, in about December-ish, she started talking to this new guy from like Bumble or something, just constantly on the phone with this guy. It started to become obsessive. She paid, like I said before, like when she's in a relationship, she won't go out with her friends, like won't do anything, and she had paid like $100 to go to a bar crawl for New Year's Eve, or as like a package for like all the different bar crawls, and she ended up being sick and wanting to go home, ended up FaceTiming this guy all night, came to pick up my friends, came to pick up my friends whenever they were done and seemed perfectly fine. So I don't know if she was actually sick or if she just wanted to go back and talk to the guy, but I think one of the worst things to do is ditch your good friends for a guy. Just saying. And then later on down the line, we had this Jesse McCartney concert planned to go to, and yet again, we had this planned for months. Yet again, she ended up ditching, and could have seen that one coming. On that same exact day, she was going with my friend to my house to let my dogs out because I had class that day, and the guy she was talking to, we'll just call him Gary. Gary called her, obviously, they were talking on the phone, and then my friend asked something like, do you want to go to McDonald's or wherever they're going? And the guy yelled at my friend Casey and was like, well, if you're just gonna talk to your friend, why are you talking to me? It's like, right off the bat, if I'm just like talking to you, like recently started talking to you, even if we had been dating for years and you talk to me like that, yelling at me on the phone that my friends can hear it, you're done, goodbye, bye-bye. One of the last times that I hung out with her, which was semi-recently, we decided to go to this bar, and I hadn't seen her in months, and this guy ended up calling her about 6 times. It was absolutely insane. I do not understand why you need to call each other every 10 minutes, as if you're like checking up and seeing like what they're doing and whatnot. And I was under the impression that she was coming to stay with me and ended up leaving that night, and we had been drinking, and she didn't even tell him that we were drinking. I don't know if he like doesn't let her drink or whatever, but that's a negative sign. She just immediately became enticed with this person. They said they loved each other after like 2 weeks or something, and I get it. Like, you awesome, like, I don't know, but personally I don't think you can love someone until you truly know somebody, because other than that it just sort of becomes habitual and it literally has no meaning. You know, talking about marriage and kids like without even a month of knowing each other. Yeah, and she just sort of definitely morphed into like a new person, like started wanting to do hunting and stuff when I would literally try to, you know, get her to go outside or something and would scream over a bug. So yeah, when they started dating, I literally never heard from her again, which is insane. And during this time that they started dating, a very unfortunate situation happened in her family. I'm not going to talk about it, it's not my business, but it was definitely an emotional and sad time for her. And during that time, me and my good friend, mutual friends of Casey's, we tried to be there for her. We offered to drive an hour and a half to go see her. We offered to take her out places, and all she wanted was this guy that she hadn't even known for a month, which was just absolutely insane to me, baffled me. But yeah, we ended up, I don't want to say we forced her, but we kind of forced ourselves onto her to like take her out after this scenario. And yet again, we paid for her winery tour, we paid for her dinner, all that kind of stuff. Definitely like had to go out of the way to see her because all she wanted to do was see this guy that like she barely knew. And I get that, but when you're really good friends of years and years and years who have been there for you, who have given you so much, want to be there for you, I mean. And the funny thing is, when after we took her out for the wine tasting and stuff, we didn't get a thank you. We were taking pictures for like 30 minutes, didn't get a post, which is fine, whatever. But the next day she posts, probably the third time she's posted this picture of her and that guy, a thank you post, like, thank you for being there for me, which is fine. But we were there too. We tried to be. But yeah, so obviously she was like our best friend, like my really good friend, and I have tried so many times to get this girl to like hang out with me, like, you know, like not just only hang out with this guy. And every single time I'd be like, hey, so next week let's do something, like, and then they would come around and there would be an excuse. And we were in fact supposed to go to the CCMF festival, and she backed out of that, said she had to work. Don't know if that's true because she was definitely not at work that weekend. Yeah, so just like little things. But yeah, so me and my friend, we have obviously tried to be like, talk to her, be like, hey, what's up? Like, let's talk, let's like meet up, let's do something, because I don't understand how you can just ditch your friendships. It doesn't make any sense to me. And so because she wouldn't talk to us, or, you know, was just too involved with this guy, we decided to send her a voice memo. A very nice, can you see me playing with my foot? Because that's sort of awkward now. It wasn't like an attacking voice memo. It's definitely like, we love you, we want to see you, we want to know more about this guy that you apparently love. That's another thing. I don't understand how you can love somebody who doesn't know your friends, or, you know what I mean? I don't get it. And she, I don't know if she listened to the voice memo or not, but she told us that she would call us later that week, and that was about a month or two ago, and she has yet to call. So I'm just over it, and I needed to say all of that stuff because obviously she doesn't give a flying crap, and yeah, it feels really good to have said all of that. To me, it's just, I'm gonna close this now because I'm done with that, take a sip of wine, and end this video. So for me, I feel like, I'm just casual now. For me, I feel like there's multiple people that have come through my life that have used me, and it's just so unfortunate, but never someone that like I was like super close with, that I'd given so much of my personal life to use me like that and then just literally ghost me. I was never one for drama. I don't care enough. But this was really upsetting to me, and I needed to make this video, like I said, because I just feel so hurt. And it's awful when you like feel this hurt and like emotion behind something that you can't even talk to the person about because they just don't care. And it's like really weird to me. I don't really understand. Yeah, it is very sad to me that she is repeating sort of like the same relationship that she so badly said she didn't want to be in again, but now she's like in the same scenario. And I don't even know. I have no words. I don't understand when girls ditch their really good friends for a guy that you barely know. Like, I get it during like the honeymoon phase, but like it's not even like that. So yeah, I hope that made sense. I hope you were drinking coffee, wine, something, or eating something during this video. Yeah. So yeah, I hope you guys are having a really good day wherever you guys are, and until next time, bye!